It is the technology show where we translate geek into regular speak. So this week, I am solo, but I'm also getting to self-indulge because I have a guest of the week, which is going to tie us into both Things with a Z and guest of the week. So I've had the opportunity to play with some really cool tech, and I know every week I get to play with really cool tech. Last week was the awesome new Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro. So this week it's a little bit different, and I think for me it's probably something that's quite personal. It's something that I suffer with, and that's insomnia. Now, because I've worked and lived all over the world, time zones are actually quite irrelevant to me. I just sleep when I can and stay awake because I don't want to miss out on anything. So this last week I've been playing with a product called Muse. Now I actually have the Muse Band here. It comes in two different pieces. Let me just move to the camera so you can see the guy's wearing it. I'm not going to put mine on. I really love the way that this all comes together. So there's a little magnet system, and all you do is go boom, and there was it. It connected straight away. It's turned on straight away. So where's my orange lights? It's looking for my phone. But I've got something a little bit better than talking about my experiences of playing with a headband that uses ECG and controls my brain. Not that anything could really control my brain. I've actually managed to round up one of the co-founders of the company. Now, she comes all the way from Canada, so it's pretty late at night there. And Ariel is going to be joining us. In fact, I say Ariel's going to be joining us. Let's bring Ariel into the studio because I can see that she's in the waiting room. So let's add her to stream, and let's do that. And in fact, better still, let's do that. Ariel, welcome to the Technology Show.
Thank you so much, Brett. It's a joy and a pleasure to be here.
It's really good to have you. And I know that with time zones, it's super late there. It's got to be like 10:30, 11:30 at night over there, given that it's 2:30 here. 2ish here. Don't even know what time it is anymore. So I was talking about Things with a Z, and you're fairly new to the show. I always get to play and review and talk about tech. If you saw last week's show, I played with some awesome new phones. Thanks again to Google for sending those over. I'm not sure if you've quite convinced me to move off my iPhone yet, but I definitely have found a new favorite friend. So, Ariel, talk to us about the Muse. I mean, as I said, I have the headband here, but there's different versions. I don't have any pictures to show you, but I'm sure you've got some products that you'll be able to bring up and show us at hand. I'm hoping you do.
I need to run and grab those because actually my Muse lives by my bedside.
Well, that's where mine is. So, we don't need to run away. I'm going to see if I can find some screenshots here. What I'm going to do is bring up your website. Talk us through what made you invent this really cool product, and obviously some of the science behind it. And of course, it's linked to an app.
Sure. I will start by explaining exactly what it is. So, Muse, the brain sensing headband, is a device that helps you meditate and sleep. It's chock with sensors, so there are EEG sensors that track your brain activity, PPG that tracks your heart rate, accelerometer, gyroscope, and each of these are able to give you real-time feedback on your brain and body's activity during meditation, and in addition, it gives you amazing interventions to help you fall asleep. So it really is like this complete 24-hour cycle. It helps you meditate during the day to help you focus your mind, gain calm, reduce your stress. And then at night, you can use those skills to actually help you fall asleep faster, get a better night's sleep, and then wake up the next morning more refreshed, better able to meditate, focus, etc., better sleep in this awesome feed forward.
Okay. So, the thing is, people say, oh, that sounds great. That's wonderful. I'd kill for a better night's sleep. What I can say is it actually has worked. So I've played with it. So there's two types. I'm going to go into the different types now.
Sure.
I have a soft headband. So at first when I got it, in fact, I'm going to do that. If you want to run and grab the other unit in the meantime,
Sure.
while I talk through this, we can. That's what I love about live shows. So these are the sensors. Now, the hole that you can see there, in fact, let's do this properly. So let me connect my unit back up again so everyone can see what it looks like. So there's the Muse unit. You can see, and it does bend inside with the band, and I'm hoping the little green light will come on. No, but if you've got an Apple Watch or any of the smart sensors, you've seen these little lights that come on here underneath that measure. That's what this one does. These are the touch points. They're really soft. The band is nice and soft. There's elastic, so it really is comfortable. It's super comfortable. I'm one of those people that can't sleep with a shirt on. I can't sleep with anything that's touching me or bugs me. The bed covers have to be right. So I was a bit skeptical when it came to sticking something on my head. And let me tell you, I slept. There was absolutely no issues. Now, I've got to give some credit to the app as well. And I must say, Ariel, the app is beautiful. Often
Thank
on
you.
Things with a Z, I review either tech or apps, or sometimes both. And in this case, it would be both. The UI, the UX, the seamless ease of using the app, it really is a good app, which is where a lot of hardware, software combinations fall short. Um, it was pretty easy to put on, pretty easy to configure. There's a lovely little color, what do you call it, configuration tool that shows you that all the sensors are making contact. We were talking off air. I was saying that with this COVID hairstyle that I have here, I was battling to get the sensors to connect, but a quick little bit of advice of some water just to make contact. Voila, no issues at all. So I see you went and grabbed your the other
Yep,
unit. So
both
I'm
types of muses.
okay, so you got both. So I'm feeling a bit FOMO now. I've only got one to play with, and you got two to play with. So that's fine. I'm going to be like a sports school kid and put mine down. Hand over to you. So talk us through them.
Sure. So what I have here is the two different muses. This is the Muse 2, so it's a hardband headband, and it slips on just like this. And there are EEG sensors on the forehead and behind the ears, as well as a PPG sensor. And Muse 2 is designed specifically for meditation. So it's the
Okay.
Muse 2 that gives you real-time feedback on your brain activity during meditation. So we all know that meditation's incredibly good for you. And frankly, it's really hard to do. You sit there, your brain bounces all over the place, and you're like, what on earth is going on in my mind? What am I
Yeah.
supposed to be doing? Well, Muse solves that problem by actually giving you real-time feedback on your brain activity during your meditation, letting you know when you're focused and when your mind is wandered. So you're literally hearing audio cues of your state of meditation. When your mind is wandering, you hear it as stormy. And as you come to quiet, focused attention, it quiets that storm. So you're getting real-time feedback during your meditation to hear what's going on and guide you into the meditation state and reinforce you for staying there. And then after the fact, you get data, get charts and graphs and scores and things that show you moment by moment what your brain was doing to let you gain deeper insight into your practice and let you really attach to it and maintain an ongoing practice, because meditation's great, but only if you actually do it every day.
This is the thing. I want to jump in there. So I've tried meditating. I am one of those people that does an 18-hour day. People go, oh, no, you don't. I really do. In fact, I've even positioned my work from home office just behind the family room so that I'm kind of still with the family, even though I'm still working. And it's a choice. My studio is still in South Africa. They're 10 hours behind us. So pretty similar to, having these type of calls. Excuse me. So I work all the time. And someone said to me, why don't you try meditating? It will calm your mind. It'll help you relax, maybe even help you switch off. I tried it, failed. The problem is that my mind raced the whole time, exactly what you've just said. Now, I did what you've just described. So the first time I put the band on, I selected the meditation mode. It had this, I think it was called rainforest, and it like helps you get used to. So that was the other thing about the app, is that the app actually leads you and guides you in the best way to set it up, the best way to use the technology, which a lot of companies fail. They don't get that part right. So the first one that I did was rainforest. And then what it does is that, as you said, it gets loud, like the storm was going, which was the app's way of telling me that I'm wondering, oh, look, a squirrel. And that's exactly what happened. So then I thought, and it keeps talking about focusing on the breath. Now, breathing is not something I've ever really thought about. I'm kind of grateful that it happens. And I know that if it doesn't happen, I'm dead. So I've never really given much thought to breathing. But when it says focus on the breath and you start thinking, okay, breathing in, breathing out, then the storm quietened. And it was exactly like your mind is quietening, which was incredible.
You got
So
it.
yeah, and that actually made sense for me to meditate, because that was what was missing. Everyone said, oh, you play this music and you sit comfortably, and or you stand or you lie down or you do what you want to do. And I did all those things. But without having tech to actually help me, and also there was an app, well, not was, sorry, there is an app called Calm. I reviewed that about a year ago. This was also when COVID hit and everyone was stressed. And so I there was a promotion actually with American Express here in Australia, and that's how Calm came across my path. And I tried it, and the app was beautiful, and the stories were nice, and I did go to sleep, but I could never quite get my mind to actually switch off, because nothing was telling me to, or nothing was giving me that signal. So I have to say, well done, because that is what actually helped me calm and switch off. So
Yeah, and actually to know that you're meditating. So I mean, I
didn't
also
know I was before, but I was. And
I was a
the app told me I
terrible
was.
meditator. Before Muse, my brain would bounce all over the place and I'd just get really frustrated. And it's like, what am I supposed to be doing? I can't do this. This is not for me. And when I finally, as we were building Muse, we'd be prototyping, we'd be trying it. And the first time, it was like 8 years ago, when I had that moment of just dropping into quiet, the sound quieting, and me being there. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, oh, this is it. This is the state. And then once I got it, it was like, oh my God, then I could get back there easily. And then like all of the meditation history and teachings that I'd been reading finally made sense. It's like, oh, this is the thing. It's kind of like my first kiss moment. Then the thing happens, you're like, oh, this is the thing. And then everything else opens for you.
I'm actually trying to bring up my screen, and I can show people how much data there actually is when it comes to your meditations. That was a meditation on sleep. I actually had quite a good sleep score on one of them. Where is it? Well, there's my sleep, but I'm not going to try and fuddle while we're talking. Here's an interesting one. So I reached out to someone that is a yogi, someone that does yoga.
Yeah.
I don't know which yogi. And she's one of those, I'm sure she's vegan, and she won't put anything with an E coloring in her system, and make sure she has a water count, really good, wholesome, natural, connected to the earth, does grounding, like standing on the ground naked with your feet naked so you can feel the earth and so on. And I said to her, I've got this cool tech toy for meditating. She goes, you can't meditate with technology. So I said, no, hold on a second. Now, she's known me for many, many years. And I mean, even in a social gathering, I'm all over the place. We'll be talking about something, and then, I'm definitely the poster child for Ritalin. If that's where I should have been at school. But I said to her, hold on a second. She goes, oh, but you always try to bring tech into what you're doing. I said, but hold on a second. I can't meditate without it. I can sit in a room and I can listen to calming music and water features, and all I want to do is go to the toilet. Okay. Or I'm thinking in the room and I'm going, hold on a second, I'm sitting here doing nothing when I've got 2 strategies to write for a client, or I need to prepare for next week's show. I said, I've used this technology, and the tech was telling me that my mind was wandering and that I needed to come back into the moment. And she's like, well, that kind of makes sense. I said, okay, I'm not going to let her try it yet because I don't know if I'm quite keen to share body fluids with her along my headband. But the point is that I'm making is that without technology, people like myself and people that fly high and burn the candle at both ends and the middle, we can't switch off. So I can say that I was able to switch off. Now, the other thing as well, you mentioned data. Take us through some of the data points, because I'm a data junkie. I love measuring things. I love to look at something and go, oh, I got my heart rate down to 68. That was fantastic. Why is it important to have this data feedback, and that you've actually spent all this time and energy integrating into the app?
Sure. So of course, there's 2 forms of data. One is the real-time feedback that you're receiving that you've been describing, that is like moment by moment, okay,
Yeah,
you're here. And actually, when you're very focused, you hear little birds tweeting, and those actually
I
become
did hear
a
that.
yes, yes, you heard a bird. So when you stay focused for 5 seconds or more, the birds tweet, and that becomes a way of reinforcing your brain to say, yep, this is the right state. Classical reinforcement. You're here, you're here, you're
Yep.
here. Come here again. And then after the fact, what you're getting is lots of data. So you get a graph that shows you what your brain was doing when it's active and when it's calm. And as you look back at the graph, you can actually see how well you've improved, how much calmer your brain is over time. You can actually see the trend of the graph changing over the weeks that you do your meditation. And you're also able to look back and reflect back on the things that are essentially triggers for you. So you're going to get a huge big peak. You're going to be able to bring it back down, and then you'll be like, what was that trigger? What is the thought that pulls me away? And then reflect back on what is the technique that I was able to use to bring myself in. So we have data from the brain. We also have data from the heart, the breath, and the body. So there's multiple different meditation types with both the Muse S and the Muse 2. And so in heart meditation, you're listening to your beating of the heart like the beating of a drum. So you're actually hearing each of your own heartbeats. And that turns something called your interoception, your ability to sensitively understand your internal state. And there's good research that shows that people who have greater interoception have reduced stress. Now you're getting the
I should start
real-time.
working on that a bit more then. Now it measures your heart from here.
Yeah, so there's a PPG sensor up there,
Okay.
photoplasmiograph. And so we're able to see based on the pulses of the blood flow through the veins up here what your heart rate is.
So when you stepped away, to go and get your units, I was trying to show the listeners, I was trying to force the green light to come on, but obviously I need to fire up a session to do that. But I described it the same as the sensors under the Apple Watch,
Yep.
that it does the same thing. That also is reading, the blood flow inside, and that's where they get their oxygen reports. So would I be correct then in saying that you're doing exactly the same thing when you talk about oxygen or breathing? Are you looking at oxygen as well, or is it purely
Different.
heart? Okay.
Okay, so what we're looking at is a few different things. So one, in the heart rate meditation, what you're doing is you're hearing when your heartbeat increases and when your heartbeat decreases. There's
Right.
a super cool phenomenon called the sinusoidal arrhythmia. As you
Say that
breathe
one more
in,
time. I dare you.
sinusoidal arrhythmia. So when you breathe in, your heart rate increases. As you breathe out, your heart rate decreases.
Okay.
Now, your HRV, that measure that everybody always loves to go by, that's actually the difference between your lowest heart rate on your exhale and your highest heartbeat on your inhale. So if you're able to inhale, have a high heartbeat, and then exhale very slowly, that means you're spending more and more time in a descending heart rate, and it's going to go slower and slower and slower and slower. You're increasing your HRV.
Okay.
So you're learning to actually not just look at a number and say, okay, am I ready? What is my HRV? You're actually learning how to modulate your own HRV. And after you look at your heart meditation graph, what we're actually showing you is that sinusoidal arrhythmia. You're able to see the pattern of your heart rate rising and falling. And you'll see when you're stressed, it looks like this. It's very, very tight, very low HRV. As you take deeper breaths, it starts to get up and down and the variation becomes greater. When you're able to get into a cadence with your breathing and your rhythm, it becomes this beautiful sinusoidal wave. So you're actually able to see the real reaction of your heartbeat and its variability and how you can actually impact it. It's super cool.
So if we take things like exercise, and I mean, stress obviously has a similar pattern, right? I've got a set of stairs. If you've ever been to Sydney, come to Bondi, and there's a place called Cooper Park. And it's been the sanctuary for all of us in lockdown because we were allowed out to exercise. I think there's 120 steps. So and people run up and down all day long. I get to the top and I feel like I'm in Philly. Adrian, I get to the top of the stairs and do the Rocky Balboa moment, but only do that once because it's not fun afterwards. But your heart rate goes through quite erratic from rest to spike, and then it calms down again. With stress, it probably has similar types of patterns, which obviously doing the same type of damage to your body and
it's actually
no.
a little bit different. No. So when you're working your heart as a result of exercise, what you're doing is you're actually, okay, so super cool fact. As you breathe in, your heartbeat is increasing because the blood pressure is increasing because your lungs are expanding, your blood
Right.
is moving very quickly. The expansion of your lungs leads to like a significant increase in your blood pressure. When your blood pressure is really high, then your vagus nerve kicks in to say like, whoa, it's crazy in here. Let's come on in and bring it down. And so your vagus nerve is then able to drop your blood pressure, drop the rate that your heart is beating at so that your blood pressure reduces. And the efficiency of your vagus nerve's response, it governs your HRV. So that's why people who are super healthy, who are young, who are fit, who are not depressed, have really great HRV because their vagus nerve is able to respond quickly, to notice that we have a high blood pressure, to bring it in, to slow it down, and come back to equilibrium. So when we talk about resiliency, that is literally resiliency, how quickly you can return yourself to the equilibrium of a safe, low heart rate. People who are not well exercised, their whole cardiovascular system is not functioning as effectively. And so their vagus nerve is not able to bring it down that quickly. So what exercise does is it really practices this increase in blood flow, this increase in your heart rate and the vagus nerve's ability to come on in and quickly modulate it. So you end up actually with a very positive response, whereas stress does the opposite. Stress impacts your vagus nerve, your rest and digest system, your parasympathetic nervous system, makes it harder for it to come online, and therefore decreases your HRV.
So I suppose learning to manage stress better, which is obviously something that Muse can help you do, would then have much better longevity benefits for you as well in your everyday life. That was one of the things that I wanted to ask you on today's chat. Would I be able to use Muse while I work? So as I said to you, or I might have said it off air, but for those that know me, I have no less than 6 screens in front of me at any given time. So I work off my MacBook, which I'm looking at now, and then I've got 2 screens, one on either side of me now, which all other kinds of data flying, especially in a broadcast scenario. I always have 2 cell phones, and I have an iPad. In fact, I have a watch, so I have 7 screens vying for my attention. Now, I'm thinking about, and I'm new to this. I mean, this has only been a week's worth of experimenting, and before that, reading about it. But when I was able to meditate and bring the noise, I'm going to use the word noise, down and get to the birds, would I be able to do that, or is meditating different to focusing and concentrating? That's the question I'm trying to ask. Is that if I'm sitting at my desk with multiple screens trying to get my attention, and they do succeed, if I had to put the Muse on and just set a meditation thing, even though I'm ignoring the calm and the relaxing, would that help me train my brain to actually stay focused because the noise is alerting me that I'm going somewhere else? Or is that not really what this is designed for?
Great question. 2 parts to that answer. So one, you wouldn't be able to do it with the Muse on your head because it's built as an eyes closed experience. So EEG is incredibly delicate, and we've very specifically trained this algorithm with expert meditators, and by now literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people with eyes closed meditation. So that's how the algorithm works. And specifically focused attention meditation. There are many different forms of meditation. We have different experiences for it. The Muse Mind meditation is focused attention. However, what we're training you in is the skill to use this without the device. What we're training you in is literally your ability to focus and maintain your attention. And so
Melanie, I don't need the device after a while, but for now, I'm taking it. That's
totally
my friend that I'm talking about.
So when you're focusing on one thing and then your mind is distracted by a shiny object, a squirrel, another screen, what you're learning to do is notice, like, oh, something pulled my attention, because Muse teaches you that when your mind wanders, it cues you, you notice it. You then say, hey, I don't need to put my attention here. I'm going to let that go and come on back to the thing I'm focusing in front of me. And it works incredibly well. Like, commonly people say that they overcome their phone addictions really quickly because you're used to, like, oh, my phone is, pulling my attention. And with Muse, you practice to go like, pulling my attention, I don't care. Let it go. Come on back to present moment.
Look, I think that would be quite an achievement to be able to pull me away from my phone totally. I said, I got 2, so there's always both hands going.
And the ones on your wrist too, yeah.
The other question I wanted to ask you now, I mean, obviously the idea is that every person gets their own, but can you share a Muse unit? Because it said configuring. So again, for the viewers that that are watching the show, and I can see that scrolling along the bottom, they can go to the website choosemuse.com. But when you set up, it actually configures. So it's obviously looking at the way it's sitting on your head. Is it making proper contact? So it goes through this configuration, and it's also beautiful. It uses colors, so you can see it straight away. But now, let's say, for example, I wanted my son to try it before he gets his own. And it's an investment. Any technology is an investment. Would that break my configurations and take away from what I've got, and is it going to record in my history if he uses it, or how does it work?
So multiple people can use the same device, and it's really common that, like, dad brings it home, the 17-year-old son steals it, the kids then start competing with their meditation together, who can get more birds. It makes its way around. What you need to do is have your own app. So each person can download the app on their own phone, make their own account, because yes, you're right. If he used your account, it would pollute your data, because that data is yours. It is customized to you, and so you want to keep that separate. But certainly,
so he could just pair the device to his.
Exactly.
Because he's a gamer. Go figure. Son of a tech junkie. What? But I cannot get this kid off the screens, and it's just full blown gaming, and then he can't wind down when it comes to actually going to sleep. So I tried the smothering with a pillow thing, but the police were called twice. It didn't work. We can't drug him yet. Well, we should never drug him ever, but he's only 15.
Oh
So I
yeah,
thought,
too young for
this could be,
alcohol.
yeah, you can't. Just on that note, by the way, and a shout out to Canada, I'm a huge, huge whiskey fan. I love my whiskey, and I am absolutely loving Canadian whiskey. I've got a couple of bottles of Crown Royal. I've got Canadian Club. I've got one I can't pronounce, Sorrento or something, Collingwood. So shout out. So you've made
Thank
Justin
you.
Bieber and Muse, and really good whiskey.
And
But
Celine Dion.
oh, I shouldn't do it for me, but I'll give you that one as well.
Okay. And
Um,
beer that apparently is not as good as our whiskey. So I'm glad you went right to the top.
but yeah, no, I've got a great collection going. So you know, and and I can't give him whiskey because I mean that's what I would use to take the edge off at night. But I also don't, I'm quite protective when it comes to my data, especially if I'm doing something that I'm measuring, because that was the last thing I wanted to get to. I mean, it's amazing how time goes on these interviews, and I'm not going to keep your notes late at night there.
And we
But
should talk about sleep. We've only talked about meditation.
right, so we're going to talk about sleep, and this is a great way to get towards it. But looking at the data, when you mention on the meditation, and maybe you can talk about the sleep, because I've noticed this, it shows position. Maybe this is a very good segue into talking about sleep. So one of the data reports that I noticed was position. I'm assuming it's the position I was sleeping in. Now, I've always
Precisely.
thought of myself as a side sleeper, but there's a lot of movement. So I have to probably apologize to my wife now because, yes, I do move. The app shows me that I move. Let's go into sleep. Let's go into the movement and what we can do with that data to try and correct or fix some of the broken patterns.
Cool. So I am super excited about our sleep intervention. It is brand new. So you saw the Muse 2. This is the Muse S, and the Muse S is actually purpose built to help you sleep. So it has all the same meditation features of Muse 2. Plus, as you heard, it's soft, it's cozy, you can wear it while you sleep. And it tracks sleep through the night, basically as effectively as a sleep lab, and actually gives you targeted interventions to help you fall asleep. We call them digital sleeping pills. So rather than taking
No whiskey.
no whiskey, no side effects, no grogginess the next day, what we're actually able to do is as you fall asleep, your brain activity changes. And Muse is able to detect those changes as you're falling into sleep and actually adjust the audio content that you're listening to in such a way as it cues your brain for sleep. So that's what a digital sleeping pill is. And we have
Okay.
it's amazing. We have multiple different digital sleeping pills. You can listen to sleep stories, you can listen to guided meditations, soundscapes, and in each one of them, the audio experience actually shifts and changes and morphs to you in such a way to guide your brain into sleep, allowing it to quiet itself and walk itself into slumberland.
Okay, so I got to quickly jump in there. I haven't
Yes.
tried that yet, and you can see the smile because
Yeah.
these are, it's like I've got now. It's the gift that keeps on giving, right? I get to try something else. I've only used the normal. I'm going to say normal, like the sleep app that I have, or
Mhm.
the sleep section of the app that I have. And there was a story, and it's one of those voices. I feel sorry for these voice actors because these are people I'd never want to be with at a party because they're going to
Because
talk.
they just put you right out. They're
But
so
but
effing boring. It's amazing.
here's a question for you. Maybe you have some advice.
Yeah.
So I was listening to it with the speaker on my phone.
Mhm.
Now, the app suggested that I use earbuds, and I have tons of earbuds, like every type of shape and form that you can think of, I have. I even have earbuds, and I see you wear glasses as well. These are super cool. They clip on the frames of my glasses so that my ears are open. But I can't sleep with an earbud in. I can't, and one, it's going to fall out, and two, when I lie on my side, it's so weird trying to do that while I'm talking, I can feel the pressure. Is there a super secret Muse earbud that you're launching soon? There's a smile. There's a giveaway.
No, 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 there's
Is there
actually not a
advice?
super secret Muse earbud, but how I deal with it, so you mentioned that there was the feature that shows you which position you sleep in.
Yeah.
Well, I've now discovered that I sleep on my left side. So what I
So
do
do
is
I. I'm a left side sleeper.
yep.
Yeah.
So I just put my earbud in the right side, and then as I'm sleeping on my left side, it doesn't bother me. I only have the earbud in one ear.
There we go. You see, I knew you would have a clever answer for this because The other problem is, or not problem, but I think this is probably going to be something that would affect if you've connected an earbud, because this is what happened to me. So I was a little bit restless when I was playing with it. So I put the earbud in, and my
Mhm.
earbuds fit really well, but I found it uncomfortable. So then when I took it out, it was still connected to my phone. So now I woke up, I came out of that dozy-ish state to turn Bluetooth off so that I could now have speaker on my phone so I could listen to it. Then I got the kick from my wife because now I'm playing music. Now she likes to sleep with wave sounds, the sounds of oceans.
Mhm.
So that's great. I've got rainforest sounds, which is equally as cool. But then she has these chirping birds that it was a bit difficult. So the earbud makes sense, especially if you're sleeping next to someone.
Yeah.
But I
Bose
couldn't.
also makes something called sleep phones, and they're really comfy. So
I
it's
have
another
seen
headband.
those. There's
Yeah.
actually an Australian invention called the Sleep Muff. It's this really big, soft, spongy thing that goes over your head, like with a bit of a band, and it's designed for travel. And it's soft enough that you can put your earbuds in and sleep, and then they don't fall out as well. But they're inside your head. And I was thinking of just getting some sleep muffs, but then I'm gonna have a sleep muff and a Muse band. I'm gonna look pretty cool. I'm gonna look like I went back to the 80s, with the high energy, with the bands and the headbands and all those good things. But
Just try
yeah,
it in one ear. So
I'm
part of
gonna
the
try that.
benefit of keeping the audio throughout the night is if you wake back up in the middle of the night, the Muse Band actually detects it and wakes up with you and then brings in the same DSP, digital sleeping pill, that helped you fall asleep the first time. So it's kind of like we wished there was this magic thing that could know we were awake in the middle of the night and just come and like, please put us to sleep, like make the misery stop. Well, we built it.
100%. Ariel,
So
and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I've taken melatonin for the last 10 years for that reason, is that I've taken it to switch off, but I don't stay asleep. So, and it's, I know melatonin is a natural product and this is not a natural product made of a natural product, but I don't feel like I've slept well on melatonin. So I've used melatonin because of jet lag. Pre-COVID, I was somewhere in the world at any given moment in time. So I needed that just to switch my clock, and it's worked well for me. But it's that thing of waking up. When I wake up, straight away I go for my phone and I start Googling or reading emails or doing something, and then that's it, tickets. So I'm looking really forward to trying the sleeping pill. Now, you've talked about Muse 2, which was on the solid headband,
mhm.
which what you showed us first. Now you've got with Muse S with the sleeping pill. Is this part of an app feature? So that's the one I've got. And I must be honest with you, what really excited me about Muse is I was looking for sleep solutions. I wasn't looking for the meditating side. I've tried it and it was actually quite fun that I felt like I could give myself a pat on the back. I could finally meditate. And I phoned Melanie. I'm like, I meditated. She goes, what did you do? Were you listening to? I was like, no, I had technology. She's like, no, you didn't. Um, is it part of the package? Like, so you buy the headset, and I think I've got choosemuse.com going there so people can obviously buy online. Or do they download the app first and then buy the headset? How does it work? Well, take us through the commercial side of it, because I mean it's a product, you need to get it.
Sure. So you can get so Muse S actually has two versions. So this is the Muse S Gen 1, which is the one that's has been in market for the last while, which uses the traditional go to sleep experiences that you tried. We call them sleep journeys. To
Right.
use the Muse digital sleeping pills, we actually have a brand new device that we just came out with, Muse S Gen 2, and that you can buy on choosemuse.com on our website. The Muse Gen 1 you
Scrolling
can
along
actually
the
get on
screen.
Amazon.
Okay.
And the digital sleeping pill works with the Muse Gen 2.
Okay.
And it is a software download. So after you buy the headset, download the app. And then we're always updating the features in the app. So you're always getting new content, new experiences, new audio, new features that we build. So once you buy the headband, you get access to all of the stuff that comes down the road in the app.
Fantastic. Look, I must say it's been an incredibly fun. My tech world. I showed you my handful of headsets and phones. I mean, thanks to TCL, they sponsor our shows. It's a phone. It's TCL Mobile, just for clarification in Canada, because you've got TVs there as well. So, I'm always playing with gizmos that require my attention, that probably strain me more than they do me any good. This has been super fun, I must say. As I said, I'm quite excited. I'm actually looking forward to going to bed tonight because I'm now going to try the one ear. Oh, hold on a second. Yes, you can. So if you're a left sleeper, yes, you can. So
Put it on
the
the right
problem with
side.
my headset is it only connects on the right. In
Perfect.
fact, shout out to JLab. That's not true. So for anyone that's watching our show today, there's a brand called JLab. This is their headsets here. They connect on either or. All the premium ones, Bose, Jabra, Sennheiser, they all connect on the right, and then the left one connects via its connection. So that, but I sleep on the left, so the right's fine. God, there's too many left rights. These little cheap guys, and they're really cheap and small, you can put anyone in. So if you're a right sleeper and you only put one in, that will work. So I'm going to try that tonight, and I will report back as to how that goes. I'm not going to get time for questions and answers. I see there's been a few things that have come through on the chat. I'll address that maybe in the post show notes because it's what happens. We always get to the end of the show really quickly. I'm actually going to have to rename the shows aMUSEd or my new Muse, and I love where the name comes from. It's one of my favorite bands, and I understand that aMUSE has been important to all great people in life. So well done on that as well. Thank you so much. As I said, I know it's late at night there, but it was really great to chat to you, and you've definitely answered some questions for me. So until next time, I think that's pretty much it. Quickly, we've mentioned choosemuse.com. Are there any other websites that people need to know about? Apps in Android and iOS? I assume it's on both.
Yep, Android and iOS across the board. As you said, you can get it on Amazon or on Choose Muse.
That's what I
we
want to ask
actually,
you. Amazon
yeah.
Australia or Amazon
Yes.
America, and then you'll ship to Australia?
Amazon Australia. We actually have a warehouse in Australia.
There
So
we go.
yeah, so you're going to
Fantastic.
buy
It's
fully
important
Australian
because
experience.
with COVID, it's also kind of been a little bit iffy for us. So that's good to know. All
Yeah,
right.
we've removed all those barriers pre-COVID.
Awesome. Pre-COVID. Well, we're coming out of it. Fingers crossed it stays that way. Ariel, thank you again. Thanks to Anisha and David for helping us facilitate and get our time zones to work. I remember sending an email saying, "Oh, it's like 2 a.m." She said, "No, mate, that's not. That's like 11:30 at night." So that's going to be it for the show today. So until next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.